Hello there, my name is Buck Cash and I'm going to share some Photoshop tips and tricks with you over a series of videos. This is the first one, and so the first thing that I'm going to do is take you through some very basic things that I do that you may find helpful. The first thing is, now I've got this photo open here. This is a photo that I shot at Presque Isle Lighthouse in Michigan. The very first thing that I do whenever I open a photo up in Photoshop is I duplicate the layer so that I can work non-destructively. And the way that I do that is I grab this, pull it down here into this icon, let it go, and now I have a second layer to work with. Now on this second layer I can do pretty much anything that I want, and it's going to be non-destructive. So if I make a big whopping mistake and there's no way for me to undo it because it's in the middle of a whole bunch of other stuff, well, I can simply delete that. I still have the original layer and photo, and I can just duplicate it again and start basically from scratch. Okay, so that's the first thing, is that I always have the original photo intact that I never destroy. Now the second thing is that once I get this in here and then I've got my second layer, the one that I'm going to work on, the next thing that I usually do is I go after any kind of dust spots or anything like that that might be in the photo. And up here I noticed that I've got some dust spots that have appeared, that have been on my sensor, I suppose. Could be on the lens. I'm going to go to this healing brush tool, and now here's a tip on brushes in Photoshop. To adjust the size of a brush, of course you can go up here and you can use the sliders, but it's much easier, I find, to simply use the bracket keys on your keyboard. So the square bracket keys on your keyboard, the left bracket key, if you press that, it makes the brush smaller, and if you press the right bracket key, it makes it larger. So I'm going to make this just large enough to cover the blemish here, the spot that I want to remove, and then I'm going to use the Alt key to target what my texture is going to be. And so if I target down here, so if I hold the Alt key and then click where I want to target, and say I target down here in the trees, what I'm sampling are the trees, right? So if I sample here, I'm going to sample that area, and that's what I'm gonna get for a sample that I'm going to be using as a target. So now if I sample over here, I get this mixture, and let me use a bigger one because I know it's probably difficult to see on the small video. I'm going to sample this, and you can see that the sample looks like that blend of sky and clouds. Now of course that's not what I want. I'm going to work on something here in the clouds. So I'm going to sample just the clouds, and then one click and that blemish is gone, that one's gone, and I'm just going to clean these up a little bit. Now this one down here, this one's a little bit different. You can see that there's a little bit of a blue patch here. Well, this kind of matches down here in this area, and so I'm going to sample this, and I'm going to move it over here, and you can see how it lines up. I'm going to line it up, and I'm going to click, and now I've got something relatively acceptable. Okay, so that's what I would do, and I would go through the rest of my photo looking for those little spots and blemishes, and I'd clean them up. Now here's if we look at, I'm going to zoom in here again, and we can see that this was all done on this top layer like I was talking about. The bottom layer remains untouched. It's still pristine. It's still exactly what it was, blemishes and all, in case I screw something up so terribly bad that I have to go back to the beginning. And so yes, there is a history state, and it goes back only so far though, and after you've gone, depending on where you've set that, and you can set that in your preferences, but depending on how far you've got that set, you may not be able to go back and undo some problem that you notice much later on. And so at the very least, you can always go back to that original layer. Okay, so that's it. So The next thing that I do when I open up one of the basic things that I do, generally speaking, and I'm a person that uses some over-the-top kind of editing, but one of the things that I tend to do is use an adjustment layer of curves. I use a curves adjustment layer, and on CS4 you'll find the adjustment layers are up here in a panel. They used to be all down here, and they still are. If you click on this, you'll be able to choose curves, levels, any of these, but they're now on this adjustment palette. I'm going to click on curves, and I'm going to give it a basic adjustment. I'm going to bring up the bright values, and I'm going to bring down the shadow values. And what that's going to do is create a bit more punch in the photo. And when we turn it off, we can see the difference. So there it is with it off, there it is with it on, and it creates more punch, more drama. It does at the same time lose some of the details though in both the highlights and shadows. I've pushed the highlights beyond where they were, and so here in this white wall it's even brighter, and in the bright areas of the clouds there's some detail loss in there. Down here in the grass and in the darker areas, some detail has been lost there as well. And it's not really lost, it still exists, and we're going to bring that out in a subsequent lesson here that I want to get to, and it's going to be about using the blending modes here, and we're going to go into an overlay blend mode, and I'm going to show you how that works in the very next lesson. So check it out.